Finish training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
War Eagle, and welcome to another edition of Ever to Podcast. This is the show where our goal is to catch you up on the latest Auburn news, discussions, scuttlebutt, things that are happening out and about on social media so you can be prepared to discuss it around the water cooler. This is all about the Auburn experience here, Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. If it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing today. Ever to Podcast episode 70. Today's date is October 1st, 2025. Thank you so much for joining us today, and happy October to all of you out there. My name is Kyle, your host as always. Let's talk about what we're going to discuss today. A few things that we're going to try to hit is some, schedule news updates. I know that y'all always seem like you get that from me. It's for baseball. We're going to talk about that. Just reiterate some things during the bye week for football. We did get some generic SEC football news that implicates Auburn, so we'll talk about that. And there's a few other things that I want to make you aware of that were announced and came to light yesterday that are all some really exciting, good things for Auburn sports fans. So let's start with some schedule news. I know it feels like the running joke is now that Kyle likes to talk about the schedule news, whether it's here, YouTube, the podcast, the regular podcast, the Auburn Experience, all that stuff. And yes, that's correct, because it gets me excited. It gives me something to look forward to. You know, we're not even close, really, until baseball season starts, but you have to remember it does sometimes start at the very end of January, and that's usually the case, if not the very beginning, middle of February. So baseball season will be here before you know it. We've got more of the schedule coming into place. And I'll be honest with you, I thought that this was already announced, and it probably was, but we've got some clarity now on this particular portion of the Auburn baseball schedule. You'll know that Auburn baseball has taken part in what's called the Amegy Bank, I want to call it Amergy for some reason, Amegy Bank College Baseball Series, or it used to be called a Classic, I believe, but that takes place at Globe Life Field out there in the Dallas-ish area out there somewhere, because like Dallas, Fort Worth, all that runs together. Arlington, I guess technically is what this would be. Anyway, I'm digressing a lot today. We've got some more information on that. Auburn is going to be playing Louisville, is going to be playing Florida State and Kansas State. So you got a lot of variety in there. You got some ACC, some Big 12 action in there. So Auburn's going to really be able to cut their teeth at this thing that's really growing. What's really interesting about this, if you've been following Auburn baseball and their involvement in it, is that it has become more than just a group of baseball teams coming on a weekend to compete together, which was big enough in and of itself. Now they've got, and maybe I was unaware of this or something, but I think this has already grown. They've got midweek games, some other ones that are before that it's becoming this all-encompassing type of event here throughout the week. The Amegy Bank College Baseball Series. They've also got the Shriners Children's College Showdown at Globe Life Field as well. That's going to be a part of this whole big event, but Auburn's part of the Amegy College Baseball. So here's your dates and times that you want to be aware of for Auburn baseball fans. You have got, and this, by the way, I didn't mention this as well. This is 3 weekends of this, so they're on weekend 2. Here is your opponents and times. Friday, February 20th, Auburn will take on Kansas State at 7 p.m., so a Friday night primetime matchup. People know, put Auburn in primetime, you'll make some money. I mean, it's just how it is. They're learning it finally. Saturday, February 21st, Auburn will take on Louisville at 11 a.m., so very quick turnaround for the Auburn Tigers. Hopefully no extra innings there. Sunday, February 22nd, Auburn will also be in the early game, so you'll have to catch it after church. At least the end of it. Auburn versus Louisville, 10:30 a.m. on Sunday. So they get the really sweet Friday spot, but they get really messed up on the other ones with the early games. You'd think they would give us that mid-game, but that may be part of some SEC rules about curfews and things like that I think are out there. Who knows? But that kind of is weird. Real quick baseball note as well. We talked about Casey Mize getting into the playoffs with the Detroit Tigers, celebrating him and Auburn in the pro situation. He's going to be the Game 2 starter. It literally just came across my screen right here, and I just saw it. So Game 2 starter for their playoff game, the Detroit Tigers. So if you're wanting to have your Auburn baseball flair in the World Series or the playoffs, I should say, make sure you're paying attention to that. So congrats and good luck to Casey Mize. All right, let's move away from baseball for a little bit. Certainly, we're in the middle of a bye week. Yesterday, we acknowledged that there's not going to be a whole lot this week to dive into, to discuss. If you want to go back and listen to Tiger Talk, I think they've got that on the Auburn Athletics site where the coordinators spoke a little bit. There wasn't really too much to take note of that I read about on there. It's been pretty quiet. It's typically the case. I think I've seen a couple of fans out there panicking because why is everything so quiet? Hugh's really quiet right now, trying to insinuate something. This is what happens during a bye week every single time, folks. We will hear from the SEC teleconference today, but that'll be on tomorrow's show if there's anything of note to talk about on that, which will be probably the first in really substantive stuff we can dive into during this bye week prep or bye week just relaxation, because it's been a little bit calm right now. So that's really it right there. But let's talk about this aspect for football. SEC Media Days has been announced for the 2026 season. And believe it or not, it's going to be in Tampa. I think I keep wanting to say Tampa Bay, but all the signage you see now, every time it's just Tampa, Florida, which is interesting. Yeah, I didn't know we were going to add one of the Southern Florida teams, so that's something. Obviously, they have their reasons for it. I think it makes a lot more sense to do it in Atlanta, Birmingham. It makes a lot more sense to do it in Nashville, to be frankly with you, or somewhere in actual states that areas that have that, Florida being the closest there. But, hey, it is what it is. They have their reasons. July 20th through the 23rd, we don't know what days Auburn will be or what day Auburn will be. Obviously, it's a 4-day event. Last year, they were on the 3rd day, so I would suspect they'd change it up a little bit. So I'll guess it'll be 1, 2, or 4. My guess is going to be 2 this year. I think we were day 1 and the last day recently, so that feels about right. So it's just a little odd. It's not really specific to Auburn, but something that you'll be hearing more and more about in the offseason as time goes on. So put that on your calendars, be expecting it. What I will note about that is, and I haven't looked at how the calendar lays out next year because I haven't really needed to, but that it feels like it's a little bit later for SEC Media Days. And so I find that very interesting. Maybe there's nothing to it, but usually SEC Media Days I felt like was a little bit sooner in July, more often than not. Maybe it's just the way that the calendar falls. So we'll see when we get closer to that many months from now what that's all about, if that's just when they could make it work in Tampa. Usually you start the practice for most of these teams that very end of July, very beginning of August. So that's a tight turnaround right there for that particular. We'll see how it lays out. All right. A couple other notes here that we want to talk about with you today. If you are getting excited about Auburn men's basketball season, and you should be, single game tickets are going on sale tomorrow. Today is October 1st, tomorrow, October 2nd. So be ready. Good luck to you. It's even with Bruce Pearl gone, they're going to go fast. So I hope you're ready for that. As always, we want to keep you in mind, keep us in your mind, that even when they go out of sale through the athletic department, you can buy them on the secondary market for those that want to sell with their SeatGeek, the official partner for Auburn in that regard. And I've utilized that myself. It's pretty easy to utilize, especially if you need to sell your ticket back. But if you're going to be buying those tickets, be sure to use our code E2C Network. That's all one word smashed together, the letter E, the number 2, the letter C, Network. They get you $20 off your first time purchase. Normally I say use a different email or phone number or whatever, but and sometimes they're getting wind that's what happens a lot. So they're pretty good about catching that. But do utilize that if you've not done that. I think it has to be over a tickets purchase of $50 or more. There's some stipulations, but give it a try. Certainly utilize that. But look, there's a lot of good options. Alabama obviously is going to have a game there. There's going to be some other great ones coming to town. First year for Stephen Pearl. You don't want to miss out on being an opportunity to see that take shape, the new part of Auburn basketball history come to fruition. It's going to be a special time, and I hope that you will be able to be there. Check that out tomorrow. Tickets are going to be on sale. Also, just some other news out there that I know it's not something that a lot of people pay attention to, but this is actually significant because it's not just all the big sports that people think of that we need to be paying attention to, football, your baseball, your basketball, all that kind of stuff. But, track and field as well gets forgotten about a lot. And I'll be honest with you, I had seen the state of the Hutzel-Rosen track, the actual running surface recently, and the facility, and it looked like it had not been well maintained. Well, they finally are getting it ready for outdoor season, and they finally have resurfaced the track for Hutzel-Rosen track facility. If you've not seen the pictures of it, you need to go look at it. I bet it looks even better in person. So this is very much warranted if you've been paying attention to how Leroy Burrell has extended what Auburn, not turned around, but extended what Auburn track and field can do with a near national championship 2 years ago, 4th place finish for men. Last year, the women have also stepped up their game under his tutelage. So it's very much needed, very much warranted. I'm happy that they're investing in the track and field program, so check that out. All right, so that's it for today on Ever to Podcast. We want to remind you of a few things. This is a Wednesday show, so keep in mind Auburn Family Night is tonight if you're listening to this today. If you listen to the replay of this a day later or so, go check the replay out of that and see what we talked about. But we'd love for you to join us for Auburn Family Night on Wednesday nights, every Wednesday night at 9 Eastern Time. As always, you can hit us up on social media, direct messages, or you can email us if you'd like, e2cnetwork@gmail.com. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today to be part of our little family within the Auburn family. And as you go, I want to remind you, the Auburn Creed asks you to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. War Eagle.